So episode 3 of Creature Commandos has finally dropped, and I gotta say, it was pretty solid. Was it my favorite episode? Probably not. Just because I think the Bride episode is a bit more tragic, and I like the combat and action more in that one, but as is, each episode has maintained a level of quality. You know, I'm not seeing the animation take a dip. There's still a solid emotional foundation for each character highlighted, which props up their motivation nicely, and then the action is still pretty solid. Gunn did this thing with music and gunshots, which was pure sauce. We have to also mention some of the points of contention people are having with the power scaling because of how Cersei has been doing in all these fights and how I'd imagine that plays into the overall story. Of course, we'll get into them predictions, but we also got to talk about the most epic week we're going to have because I think it's fair to say the Superman trailer is coming. More on that, my beautiful players. Let's get into episode 3. Cheers to the Tin Man. So we find out Cersei has baited the Commandos with Nina and the Bride. Not like that. This leaves room for her and the softies to go to the castle to find the princess, and while they figure this out, we get G.I. Robot recalling his time spent in World War II with Sergeant Rock and the whole squad killing Nazis. This guy is apparently going to get his own movie made about him by Luca Guadagnino, with Daniel Craig apparently being eyed for the leading role, which is just absolutely crazy. And it's even crazier that upon doing research for this character, I found he has like mad comics about him. Like, I feel to have that many comics about you and nobody really knows who you are is absolutely crazy. But shit, at this point, I really don't care which character it is. Just give me good movies and I'll be big chillin'. But we see G.I. Robot being celebrated by his Easy Company boys and treated like a human. And I thought it was very sweet that despite his considerable programming, that desire for the camaraderie and that sense of family had grown in him. And I think maybe when Rock had said cheers to the Tin Man was when his soul started to actually form. I love robots with feelings, the whole fighting against your programming thing, the idea that man can play God and create something with a soul, or does it have a soul? That thin line of ambiguity with both sides fighting each other and all the crazy things that says about humanity and whatnot, but to do it in such a simple, short, and concise way, I mean, it's only like 21 minutes really. It's pretty insane how effective they are with their time on this show. They also weave that in very nicely while still pushing the plot forward. So when they get back to the castle to save Ilana, we get to see how G.I. Robot got to Belle Reve, and that's from getting purchased by some war memorabilia collector who feigns normality, voiced by the amazing Michael Rooker, and brings G.I. to a Nazi party, which is like, bruh, did you not do any research on your most recent purchase? You didn't check the reviews on this mofo? And apparently they charged him as a living being, so that's how he got his, metal ass thrown in a slammer. We get some more Belle Reve cameos from Animal Vegetable Mineral Man. Hell of a name. I know he's a Doom Patrol villain and he even came out in the show. I also have always heard great things about that show, so I need to make time to watch the show. I also love the song Coin Operated Boy. They matched with the action, and G.I. had a pretty emotional ending with Cersei blasting him apart, and when Nina picks his head up, it's almost like he's kind of happy because, well, if he has a soul, maybe he will get to see his boys again. I'm trying to put my biases aside, I really am, but damn, James Gunn is just so damn effective and efficient with the timing here to get you to care and have a decent emotional reaction for this character in less than half an hour is insane. Cersei is about to get Princess Ilana. She gets wheezed by the Weaseler, and he hits her with a couple different types of back shots just because, he's built different like that. And then she gets a nice front shot from Dr. Phosphorus right in the face and loudly pronounces, "You guys doomed us all." Firstly, that's probably a lie, not just because she is the main series antagonist, but because we have the snippet of Waller saying, so either this is misdirection, or I think in the next episode we'll see Cersei's trick, or we'll see it and then realize it is a trick, which I believe was the vision of the future with all the dead heroes, because, well, obviously it is, but it mainly would explain how Cersei has been doing in all these fights. Like, she very intentionally planned all this stuff out to get captured, making it seem like she was defeated when she wasn't, and that was, I believe, to get someone in Belle Reve, but to who, I'm not so sure. It's in her nature to deceive, so I think it's less of her being nerfed to prop up the Commandos, but more so that she is playing a bigger game here. She's infamous for turning men into monsters, so I think they'll weave that into the story very nicely. Like, I think all of the soft boys are gonna turn into damn monsters at the end and fight the Commandos. I do have to read more Wonder Woman Cersei stories, but from what I have read, this seems in the vein of what Cersei does. The action might have been less in this episode, but the animation was still on point just on the facial expressions alone. And I think the callback of Rick Flag like wanting monsters and not damsels, and then just the gruesomeness of Cersei's attack with the Bride telling him, you wanted them, you got them, was pretty good. Again, another solid episode, so that's getting a very solid 7.5 out of 10. Next week's episode belongs to the Weasel, and apparently this is like everyone who's seen its favorite episode, and it's for sure where we find out Weasel is innocent. I cannot wait for that. Speaking of things I cannot wait for, forward, but I'm forced to. The Superman trailer for about 2 days now has had solid traction on social media, apparently dropping sometime next week, okay? This is yet to be debunked by Gunn, and he just greenlit a Clayface DCU movie, so you know he's seen all this stuff, but I think it might be true. And if so, players, expect 2 videos next week, because you know I'm going to be on top of that trailer as soon as it drops. I am so damn hyped for even just a morsel of this movie, so be on the lookout for next week. All in all, I'm very much enjoying the show still, as I thought I would, and I can't wait to see how Cersei's plan unfolds and where these characters end up. Each episode has done such a good job of world building, so I'm also just excited to see how much of this new DCU will be unveiled by the end of this. So as far as comics goes, I would probably recommend reading Wonder Woman Volume 2, basically like the late 80s, 90s run on Wonder Woman, especially issues 17 and 18, because I believe that's the first appearance of the more traditional take on Cersei in Wonder Woman comics. And I'm almost done with Amazon's Attack right now, which is another story that Cersei's involved in. I would also say that the Frankenstein Agents of Shade book I was talking about in one of the Creature Commando videos before, I am halfway done with that series, and that as well is something I'd recommend by Jeff Lemire. It's so damn good, although I doubt they adapt much, if anything, from there into Creature Commandos. It's just a great read, and honestly, I'd read anything 90s Superman if I were you. Gunn did say that this Superman will stand out and, you know, be different because they'll explore more Silver Age stuff, but I'm just infatuated with the 90s stuff. I've been getting through that whenever I'm not reading 90s Green Lantern. But definitely let me know your thoughts on this episode and any predictions you have for the next, and you know, the totality of this series. But yeah, that's pretty much it. If you liked the video, leave me a thumbs up, comment down below, and if you want, subscribe. I always appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope all of you guys are well, and I'll see you in the next one.